Once again, welcome to the Legends in English, a channel where we share powerful stories that help you get inspired and improve your English. Today's story is about one of the greatest thinkers in history, a man whose ideas shaped science, philosophy, and education for centuries. His name is Aristotle. Aristotle's story is not just about knowledge. It's about the power of curiosity. How a young boy from a small town in ancient Greece became one of the most intelligent minds the world has ever known. His journey teaches us that true wisdom doesn't come from having all the answers, but from asking the right questions. Aristotle was born in 384 BC in a small town called Stagira, in northern Greece. His father, Nicomachus, was a respected doctor who worked for the royal family of Macedonia. Because of his father's profession, young Aristotle was surrounded by science and medicine from an early age. He loved to watch his father study plants, animals, and the human body. This is where his curiosity began. Sadly, when Aristotle was still a child, both of his parents passed away. It was a painful loss, but he didn't let that stop him. He was sent to live with a guardian who noticed Aristotle's sharp mind and love for learning. Instead of feeling lost, Aristotle focused on knowledge. He read every scroll he could find and asked endless questions about everything. Why do stars move? What makes plants grow? How do humans think? At 17, Aristotle traveled to Athens, the heart of ancient learning and philosophy. There, he joined Plato's academy, one of the most famous schools in the world. Plato himself was a student of Socrates, another great philosopher. This made Aristotle part of a powerful chain of thinkers. Socrates taught Plato, and Plato would now teach Aristotle. At the academy, Aristotle quickly stood out. While many students repeated what Plato said, Aristotle loved to question everything. Plato believed that the world we see is just a shadow of a perfect world of ideas. But Aristotle disagreed. He believed that to understand life, we must study the real world, not just imagine it. He wanted to learn from observation. By looking at nature, animals, people, and the stars. For 20 years, Aristotle studied under Plato. And though they respected each other, their views often clashed. Plato once called Aristotle the mind of the school. But Aristotle wanted to go beyond his teacher's ideas, to create his own way of understanding truth, based on logic, reason, and evidence. After Plato's death, Aristotle left Athens. He traveled through Greece and Asia, collecting knowledge about the world. He studied biology, physics, politics, and poetry. He observed birds, fish, and governments, always asking why. During his travels, Aristotle met King Philip II of Macedonia, who was searching for a tutor for his young son, Alexander, the boy who would later become Alexander the Great. Aristotle accepted the offer and became the prince's teacher. In the royal palace, Aristotle taught Alexander lessons that went beyond reading and writing. He taught him philosophy, politics, nature, and self-discipline. He told him that a great leader must use both wisdom and courage, and that true power comes from understanding people, not controlling them. These lessons shaped Alexander's leadership and helped him build one of the largest empires in history. When Alexander became king, he supported Aristotle's dream of creating a center for learning, the Lyceum, a school Aristotle founded in Athens. It was more than just a classroom. It was a living laboratory. At the Lyceum, students didn't just sit quietly. They walked with Aristotle as he spoke. a method called peripatetic learning, meaning learning while walking. He encouraged his students to think freely, debate, and discover truth through observation. Aristotle believed that every question had an answer if you observed carefully and thought logically. He studied planets, animals, and human emotions. He wanted to understand everything, from the smallest insect to the largest star. His curiosity had no limits. Aristotle wrote about ethics, asking what makes a good life. He studied politics, trying to understand how societies could live fairly. He wrote about logic, which became the foundation of scientific thinking. He even explored psychology, asking how the human mind worked. By combining philosophy and science, Aristotle created a new way of thinking that shaped the Western world. He believed knowledge should be used to improve life. His ideas became the roots of modern education, law, and government. Aristotle's life reminds us that greatness begins with curiosity and courage. From a lonely boy in Stagira to the teacher of kings, Aristotle proved that a questioning mind can truly change the world. Aristotle's philosophy, the search for truth and the balance of life. Aristotle believed that knowledge is the key to living a meaningful and happy life. But for him, knowledge was not just about books or theories. It was about understanding the real world. He wanted to know how everything works: nature, human behavior, emotions, society, and the universe. Unlike many philosophers of his time who focused only on thinking or faith, Aristotle believed in reason, observation, and experience. He often said that every person is born with the desire to know. According to him, learning begins with curiosity. When we start asking why does rain fall? Why do people laugh? Why do stars shine? These questions, he believed, led us closer to truth. That's why he always encouraged his students to question everything, including his own teachings. At his school, the Lyceum, Aristotle taught through what we now call empirical observation, learning from what we can see and experience. He would walk with his students in the gardens, studying plants, animals, and the sky. They would collect data, compare ideas, and discuss what they observed. This simple but powerful method became the foundation of modern science. Aristotle believed that every living thing has a purpose, a reason for existing. He called this the final cause. The purpose of a seed is to grow into a tree, a knife to cut, and a human being to live a life of virtue and reason. When we understand our purpose and live according to it, we achieve true happiness, what he called eudaimonia, the highest form of human flourishing. But what does it mean to live a virtuous life? Aristotle explained that virtue is the balance between two extremes. The doctrine of the mean. Courage lies between cowardice and recklessness. Generosity lies between greed and wastefulness. In simple words, being good means finding balance in everything. This idea of balance is still very important today. People often chase extreme goals. Too much wealth, power, or pleasure? Aristotle reminds us that happiness doesn't come from excess but from harmony between our mind, heart, and actions. His philosophy also extended to society and politics. He believed that humans are political animals, meant to live together and build communities. He said, anyone who can live without others is either a beast or a god. According to Aristotle, the purpose of government is not just to rule but to help people live virtuous lives. The best government, he said, is one guided by reason and justice, not greed or power. Aristotle also developed the first formal system of logic, still used in philosophy and mathematics today. He taught people how to think clearly and avoid false arguments. For example, if all men are mortal and Socrates is a man, then Socrates is mortal. Simple reasoning like this became the foundation of critical thinking. His work in ethics, logic, and science influenced almost every field of knowledge. He studied the stars, the earth, animals, and human thought, laying the foundation for physics, biology, and psychology. He even wrote about poetry and drama, analyzing how emotions like pity and fear affect audiences, a topic still studied in literature today. Aristotle's curiosity had no limits. He wrote more than 200 works, but only about 30 survived, enough to change the world. His writings guided scientists, philosophers, and leaders for centuries. He believed everything in nature follows order and purpose. The world, he said, is a living system where every part has a role, from the smallest insect to the largest planet. What made Aristotle truly special was not just his intelligence but his humility. He said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." This reminds us to stay curious and never stop learning. Aristotle's life was not about fame or wealth. It was about truth and wisdom. He showed that knowledge is the most powerful gift a person can give, because it changes lives. His teachings became the foundation of Western civilization. Every time we think logically, study nature, or seek balance, we follow Aristotle's path. He passed away in 322 BC at the age of 62, in the city of Chalcis. But even after more than 2,000 years, his ideas are alive, in every classroom, laboratory, and mind that dares to ask why. Aristotle's journey teaches us that wisdom is not a destination but a lifelong search. To live wisely, we must think deeply, act with balance, and keep learning. As he believed, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Aristotle's legacy. How his ideas shaped the modern world. Aristotle's death in 322 BC did not end his influence. It was only the beginning. His ideas continued to inspire generations. For over 2,000 years, his writings shaped how people thought about science, education, ethics, and government. Few thinkers in history have had such a lasting impact. After his passing, Aristotle's students preserved his notes and lectures. The Lyceum, his school in Athens, became one of the most respected centers of learning. Even after it closed, his works were carried across countries by scholars and monks. They were later translated into Latin, Arabic, and English, allowing his wisdom to reach the world. During the Middle Ages, Muslim scholars like Avicenna, Ibn Sina, and Averroes, Ibn Rushd, studied and expanded Aristotle's ideas. Avicenna used his teachings in medicine and psychology. Averroes wrote commentaries that shaped both Islamic and European education. Through these translations, Aristotle's logic reached Christian philosophers such as Thomas Aquinas, who combined faith with reason. Medieval universities placed Aristotle's writings at the heart of their lessons. In science, his influence was equally powerful. He was the first to classify living organisms by structure and behavior, inspiring Charles Darwin thousands of years later. Though some of his scientific ideas were later corrected, his method, observing, experimenting, and reasoning, became the foundation of modern science. During the Renaissance, thinkers again turned to Aristotle. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci studied his writings on nature, Scientists like Copernicus and Galileo followed his logical methods to explore new truths. Even when they disagreed with him, they continued his spirit to question, test, and seek evidence. His teaching style also shaped education. Walking with students, asking questions, and connecting ideas became the model for modern classrooms. Every seminar, discussion, and experiment owes something to Aristotle's approach. His writings on ethics and politics remain timeless. He believed that a good society depends not only on laws but on virtuous citizens. Ideas like justice, equality, and the common good still shape modern democracies. In art and literature, his poetics defined how stories move the heart through pity and fear, what he called catharsis. Even today, filmmakers and writers follow his structure, beginning, middle, and end with a moral message. Aristotle's golden mean, balance between extremes, guides personal growth. He taught that happiness comes not from money or fame but from virtue and purpose. When we use our abilities for good, we live meaningfully. His influence reaches far beyond philosophy. Leaders, teachers, and scientists, even Einstein and Newton, followed his path of curiosity and reason. Aristotle is not just a thinker of the past. He is a teacher for the future. His lessons on knowledge, virtue, and balance help us live wisely. Every time someone questions, learns, or acts with honesty, Aristotle's spirit continues to shine. As he said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. His life reminds us that knowledge becomes greatness only when shared and used for good. Aristotle's modern relevance. Lessons for today's world and the English learner. Even though Aristotle lived more than 2,000 years ago, his ideas still guide the way we live, learn, and think today. His wisdom is not locked in history books. It lives in classrooms, workplaces, and in the minds of those who love knowledge. Aristotle believed that learning never ends, and that wisdom comes from both thinking and doing. This idea makes his philosophy valuable for our modern world, especially for those learning and improving themselves. Just like you, Aristotle's greatest gift to humanity was the idea of critical thinking. He taught people not to accept things blindly, but to ask questions and find reasons. Today, in a world filled with information and opinions, this lesson is more important than ever. Aristotle reminds us to look deeper, check facts, and understand both sides before believing anything. If you are learning English, remember, real learning begins with curiosity and honest questions. He also believed that words have power. In his work Rhetoric, Aristotle explained how language can move hearts, inspire people, and change society. He said that speaking well is not about fancy words, but about truth and confidence. For English learners, this is a powerful message. Don't just focus on grammar. Focus on meaning and connection. Aristotle's idea of the golden mean, finding balance in life, is something everyone needs today. The modern world pushes us to extremes. We chase success, money, or fame without realizing that too much of anything can harm us. Aristotle's wisdom tells us happiness lies in moderation. Work hard, but rest too. Be confident, but not arrogant. Love yourself, but care for others. Balance brings peace and meaning. He taught that education builds a strong society. The goal of education, he said, is not just to fill minds with facts but to shape good people, those who can think, feel, and act with virtue. Every modern education system carries his influence. The idea of studying science, politics, and ethics together comes from Aristotle's vision of complete education. Aristotle's thoughts on ethics are deeply relevant today. He said that character is built through habits. What we do every day defines who we become. You don't become honest or kind in one moment. You build it through practice. If you want to be fluent in English, practice daily. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Many modern leaders unknowingly follow Aristotle's ideas. Steve Jobs, for example, believed in simplicity and purpose, qualities Aristotle admired. Jobs' idea of combining creativity with logic reflects Aristotle's belief that reason and passion must work together. Aristotle said happiness is not found but built through good actions, learning, and balance. It's not about wealth or power, but becoming your best self. People who focus on kindness and growth find deeper joy than those who chase only success. For English learners, Aristotle's story is inspiring. Learning a language is a journey of wisdom. Every new word opens a door to new ideas and cultures. When you listen carefully and think deeply, you not only improve your English but also your mind. Aristotle's philosophy teaches patience and discipline. He didn't become wise overnight. His success came from dedication and curiosity. The lesson is clear. Stay patient, stay consistent, and never stop learning. Even in modern science and technology, Aristotle's reasoning shapes progress. Every experiment or invention still follows his principles. Observation, logic, and purpose. But perhaps Aristotle's most beautiful lesson is about knowing yourself. He said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." In a world full of distractions, this truth is powerful. When you understand your strengths, weaknesses, and purpose, you live with peace and confidence. So, as you continue your journey with the legends in English, remember Aristotle's timeless lessons. Ask questions, seek balance, speak truth, and keep learning. Like him, use knowledge to make life better and inspire others. Aristotle once said, "Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all." True education touches both brain and soul. If you can learn with heart, you can change the world. One thought, one word, and one act at a time. The final reflection. Aristotle's timeless message to the modern mind. As we reach the final part of Aristotle's story, let's pause and think. How can a man who lived more than 2,000 years ago still speak to us today? The answer is simple. Because truth never grows old. Wisdom never expires. And Aristotle's lessons are built on the deepest truths of human life. Curiosity, balance, purpose, and meaning. Aristotle lived in a different world. No computers, airplanes, or internet. Yet he studied everything. Stars, seashells, human emotions, friendship. He believed that every part of the universe is connected, and that every question has an answer if you look deeply enough. This belief gave birth to lifelong learning, a concept that defines our world today. Whether you are a scientist, a student, or an artist, his message remains. Never stop learning. Never stop wondering. His idea of balance, the golden mean, is more relevant today than ever. In a world of noise and speed, people often lose balance. We chase money, fame, and comfort, forgetting peace, patience, and simplicity. Aristotle teaches us to slow down and find the middle path. Happiness, he said, is not found in extremes but in harmony between work and rest, desire and discipline, mind and heart. How often have you felt tired or confused trying to do everything at once? Aristotle reminds us, balance is strength. When your thoughts are calm and your actions steady, you become powerful. He also believed deeply in character. To Aristotle, greatness was not about fame or wealth. It was about goodness. The highest goal of life is to become the best version of yourself. To live with honesty, courage, and kindness. Virtue, he said, is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. In today's world, where people chase quick success, his idea of virtue is a light that guides us. Real success is not measured by how much you have, but by who you become. Aristotle once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Most people spend years understanding the world, but forget to understand themselves. Self-knowledge, he said, is the key to happiness. When you truly know your strengths and weaknesses, your hopes and fears, you gain control over your life. So how can we apply this today? It begins with reflection. Think about what you really want, what makes you happy, and how your talents can help others. When you know yourself, decisions become easier, relationships stronger, and life more peaceful. For those learning English through the legends in English, Aristotle's story is more than history. It is a mirror. Learning a language is not just about words. It's about ideas and emotions. When you listen carefully and think deeply, you do what Aristotle did. Learn with purpose. He taught that education should not only fill your mind but also awaken your soul. True education makes you humble, curious, and kind. This is why his name still shines wherever people seek wisdom. In classrooms, in books, and in hearts that love learning. His influence can be seen everywhere. In science, politics, art, medicine, and psychology. His spirit lives in every teacher who inspires, in every student who asks, why? Quote, and in every dreamer who believes that understanding can change the world. He showed that knowledge and goodness must walk together. Intelligence without compassion is dangerous, and power without wisdom is blind. To build a better future, we must think deeply like philosophers, act kindly like friends, and live wisely like students of life. Aristotle's story is not about the past. It's about now. It calls to everyone who wants to live meaningfully, learn constantly, and find peace. He teaches that we all have the power to shape our lives through thought, choice, and action. So, the next time you face a challenge, remember Aristotle's wisdom. Don't give up. Think, learn, and find the middle path. Ask questions. Seek truth. Stay curious. Keep improving your English, your mind, and your soul. Because the journey of learning is the journey of becoming truly alive. In the end, Aristotle's greatest lesson is this: wisdom is not about knowing everything. It's about understanding what truly matters. And what matters most is to live with balance, kindness, and curiosity every single day. So keep learning, keep thinking, and keep growing, just as Aristotle did. And as the legends in English always reminds you, get inspired, improve your English, and grow wiser. Because legends are not born. They are made through learning.